Welcome to the Transgender Visibility Rally.
Mic check, my bad. I had to change the mic real quick. All right, we're gonna start that over. Hey, hey, ho, ho, trans hate has to go. Hey, hey, trans hate has to go. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Hey, hey, ho, ho. Hey, hey, ho, ho.
Mic check. Hi, everyone. Can everyone hear me? You're the best. Thank you. Hello and happy Trans Day of Visibility. My name is Tyler Hack. I use they, them pronouns. I'm the founder and executive director of Christopher Street Project. A little windy, but we're going to keep going. Thank you to the hundreds of people who showed up, and the more, we have buses on their way. We have people who are coming after work, and we'll make room for those folks as they keep joining us. And thank you to all of you for showing up to celebrate, to make your voices heard, and to fight together for trans dignity and justice. I also just want to jump through a few things in the program before we move through. We have marshals around the area in pink shirts who are here to help. If you're ever feeling unsafe or you need support, please talk to one of them. Please do not engage with anyone seeking violence or instigating you. We're not here for them, we're here for us. We also have ASL interpretation right up front, and we have a medic and portable toilets to my right for anyone who needs them. I'm so grateful to our partners in this movement for co-hosting this event with us. Thank you to our incredible sponsors in Popular Democracy in Action, Interfaith Alliance, Human Rights Campaign, Indivisible, and Planned Parenthood of Metro DC for making it possible for us to be here today. I also want to give special recognition to the members of Congress who are here with us today. The members today are our champions, and we at Christopher Street Project believe that being a Democrat means more than just your party affiliation. It's about unapologetic defense of trans people wherever they're being attacked. And in the face of this massive threat to all of our rights, in the face of what Trump and his billionaire cronies are unleashing, we demand more from the people we elected to protect us. We deserve more. And we say, with all of the power that we have, cowards have no place in Congress. Christopher Street Project builds and leverages political power to make equity a reality for trans people across the country, and we are fighting desperately for the pro-trans Congress we desperately need and deserve. Our guiding principle is courage. 56 years ago, that courage was demonstrated by the queer and trans people who led the Stonewall riots. My great uncle, Mark Scheer, was one of them, beaten up in the Stonewall riots for standing up for LGBTQ plus people like himself and standing side by side with his trans siblings. It was his courage and the courage of Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera that ensured we would never be erased. Let me hear you say it with me. We will not be quiet. Stonewall was a riot. We will not be quiet. Stonewall was a riot. We will not be quiet. Stonewall was a riot. Thank you. We need the courage of our ancestors at Stonewall in this moment, from our elected leaders and from each other. It will take courage to stand up to fascism, to declare loudly and boldly that our freedoms and our lives are bound together. It will take courage to fight. It will take courage, and it does take courage to even exist, to stand proudly and declare in the face of an administration hell-bent on erasing you that we are here, we are trans and queer, and we are not going anywhere. Not until we get what we are promised and we're owed as Americans, a government that protects us, respects all of us, and represents all of us. That's what we deserve. We are all worth fighting for. We are all worth fighting for and should never be told to disappear to make others comfortable. So, I'm calling out the people in the building behind me trying to erase our existence. We are here, we are paying attention, and we are ready to fight. I'm so grateful to all of you for joining us today, and I'm honored to pass the microphone to Reverend Paul Brandeis Rauschenbusch, President and CEO of Interfaith Alliance.
Hello, everybody. Well, it is such an honor to offer an invocation for Trans Day of Visibility. And traditionally, I might invite the assembly to close your eyes. But for this prayer, I urge all of us to keep our eyes open so that we might look around and see the beauty and the power of the people assembled here today. So go ahead, look around, take a look. This is beauty. This is power. So please join me in this invocation. God of life, we keep our eyes open as we give thanks for every trans life of every age who are alive today, all those trans lives who came before, and those trans lives who are yet to come. God of love, let each person here today, especially our trans siblings, know that you love them exactly for who they are. Holy One, give us courage to show up in every faith community, State House, and White House, and boldly proclaim that all trans lives are sacred and beloved. Righteous God, we demand justice for trans lives. We demand that the attacks stop. We demand that the hate stop. We demand that the deadly legislation stop. Transform the hearts of every political and religious leader so that they might join together in your great movement of justice for trans lives in this nation and across the world. God, we gratefully keep our eyes open on this Trans Day of Visibility so that we might clearly see the path forward towards a day when all trans lives in this and future generations are able to live freely and love fully. We pray these things in the name of all that is glorious, just like this community. Amen. And now it is my great honor to introduce Rabbi Abby Stein, who is a congregational rabbi and a champion for justice. Rabbi Stein.
I tried. I'm here. Thank you.
Okay, I saw you.
Okay, I really love all of you. Like, it's a very picnicky, it's beautiful, it's amazing. But I want you all to make some noise. I want you to be visible, especially if you're trans, especially if you have ever in your life been told by anyone to shut up. Now is your time to make noise. Give yourself a round of applause for being here. For speaking up today and for speaking up every day. Sorry, I don't like being pinned. Okay. My name is Abby. As the Reverend mentioned, I'm a rabbi. And I'm very proud of that for many reasons. But right now, I want to start by sharing something. And I'm translating word for word from a very radical person writing 1,800 years ago. Some people are sometimes male, sometimes female, sometimes both, sometimes none. And then there is a quote that I love from a 2nd century rabbi. You don't have to believe me. Any of the press, if you want to challenge me, come ask me after, who says that there are some people who are neither male nor female, don't fit on this gender binary altogether. I am not here to convert anyone. I'm not here to tell you about religion. What I'm here to tell you is that when there's a person, a fascist dictator sitting in a house not far from here, who stands up and says that there are only two genders, he is so backwards. He is not just morally wrong. He was wrong even 2,000 years ago. He was wrong in the past, he was wrong in the present, and he will be wrong in any future that we will create. Those people claim that they are fighting for women, that they are fighting for children, and more than anything, they love claiming their God, which seems to be a boogeyman in the sky rather than a God, that is the reason for their transphobia. But let me tell you something. My religion has taught me that every human being is the divine image. When the people in that White House or the people in the White House try to take away our rights, try to legislate us out of existence, what you are doing, every bill that you try to pass is an affront, not just to humanity, but to divinity and to any version of spirituality or creation that you want to come up with. In just 2 weeks, we're going to be celebrating Passover. One of the definitions of the Exodus, and one of the things that we are told is an obligation that we carry in every generation to leave our narrow place. To me, a narrow place is the definition of an egg or a closet, whatever it is for you. But it is our spiritual, our religious, our cultural, but more than anything else, it is our moral obligation to make sure that we are visible so that all the people who came before us and the people coming after us will know that who they are is beautiful, that being trans isn't just okay, it is something that is worthy to celebrate. And it is something that no one in the world can ever take away from you, regardless of how much military or police or physical abuse they try to use on us. A world without trans people never existed and never will, no matter how much they try. We have defeated fascist tyrants before, and we will defeat them again. And now it is my honor and privilege to invite up someone who I was just about 17 months ago. We were standing also at the Capitol when my colleagues and I at Rabbis for Ceasefire were doing our first rally at the Capitol, and Congresswoman Summer Lee was one of the first people to stand with us, has been a champion for LGBTQ and transgender rights from before being elected and every day since. It is my honor to introduce Congresswoman Summer Lee.
We got music. See, because it's a celebration. So, hey, everybody, I'm Summer Lee. I am proud to represent Western Pennsylvania in Congress. I'm proud to be here with you, and I'm even prouder to be an auntie of my trans nibbling. So, you know, I didn't come here today to play around. I know that none of you all, it's nice out here before the rain comes, and I know none of us came out here to mince words, to sanitize anything, or to pretend that anything that we're dealing with is cute and happy. And we can do both, right? Because we can have joy and we can also resist. We can lift up our humanity and we can also fight back against villainy. And that's what we are going to be doing a lot these days. I want to say that what's happening right now, especially to our trans siblings, is cruel, is bullshit, and it is not normal, and we will stand up against it. But it is not just policy disagreement. It is not a debate. It is by design, and it's targeting, and they are purposely targeting some of the most marginalized people in our society. So let me tell you where it looks like where I come from. In Pittsburgh, a city where we have world-class medicine, world-class hospitals, we've got families who are being denied life-saving care for their trans babies at UPMC Children's Hospital. And just for perspective, that is the only children's hospital that we have in our region. These are parents doing everything in their power to care for, to affirm, and stand by their children, and they're being turned away, not in some, far-off red state. It's right here in our backyard. This is what Trump's anti-trans agenda looks like. Even without a national ban, the fear, the pressure, and the silence they create is doing the work for them. It's making healthcare providers hesitate. It's making institutions retreat. It's making families feel isolated or abandoned or unsafe. And I just want to say it here. When you make it harder for children to be seen, to be loved, to be treated with dignity, that's not just a policy failure. That is a moral failure. These attacks we're seeing day in and day out, they're not just anti-trans attacks, first of all, because trans folks are human beings. So all of the attacks, whether they're anti-immigrant, anti-education, anti-healthcare, anti-housing, anti-genocide, or pro-genocide, whatever it may be, all of those things are harming our communities. And it is time that we stand up against all of it. But let me say, the reason why he's attacking all of those things is because he knows what every authoritarian knows. Organized people, organized workers, marginalized people who have autonomy and don't feel erased, that is a threat to their power. And that's why they're scared. That's why they're coming for our books. That's why they're coming for our doctors, our teachers, our workers, and yes, especially our trans babies. But they're not a talking point. And we're certainly not political football for folks, cruel policymakers to kick around for headlines, for donations, for attention, and their attention-seeking behaviors. Our workers, our families, our friends are worth fighting for. And when we do that, they will know the power that is in spaces like this. When they hear us and when they see us and when we stand up, they will know that we will not stand for their authoritarian bullcrap wherever and whatever and whichever ways they try to perpetrate it. So know this, on today we are standing for our trans siblings. But tomorrow, we are going to stand for everybody who is being attacked, because an attack on one is an attack on all. And we know that all of our liberation is tied together. So whether you're black or you're brown or you're immigrant or you've been here for a long time, or you're trans or you're queer or you're straight, or you are working class or you're in labor, whoever you are, I'm telling you, this is your moment. This is our moment. And if we let them get away with coming for one of us, then we are all laying down and letting them have us all. And I'll be damned be damned, and I know you'll be damned. And that's how we go down in the year 2025. So gear up, get in the fight, stay and fight and trim, because we will not stand down. So thank you so much for being here with me today. Thank you for letting me be here with you all.
Thank you, Congresswoman Lee. It is now my honor to introduce a member of House Democratic leadership who personally whipped the votes against the Child Predator Empowerment Act and made sure that we kept Democratic defections to a minimum and our caucus united in defense of trans people. Please welcome Whip Katherine Clark.
Hello! How are you all? I cannot express my pride and gratitude that I have for each and every one of you as a member of Congress, as the Democratic whip, and especially as the mom of a young woman who had the strength and self-awareness to say, I'm Riley and I'm trans. So I don't need to tell you how scary these times are. Republicans are trying to divide us and distract us so they can funnel more money and more power to a select few. And we've been in these moments before. We know the playbook, whether it's the 30s in Berlin or the 60s in New York or right now in Washington, D.C. They distract and divide and scapegoat so they can tear everybody down. This time, they're using this community, our trans community. They want Americans to believe that our LGBTQ neighbors are to blame for the challenges we face as a country. They hope that if we're focused on all of us, we won't notice that the Republicans are closing our public schools, that they're defunding Social Security, slashing our health care, firing veterans, increasing costs of housing and groceries, and starting trade wars with our allies. And what is the point? What is the point of this reckless agenda? To enrich the billionaire class, and it's all part of one corrupt plot. In MAGA America, the 1% have access to wealth, freedom, power, and voting rights, but not for the rest of us. They believe there should be a separate set of rules for the wealthy and connected, while the rest of us get pushed further behind. Well, we're here to say enough is enough. We will not let them demonize this community. We will not let them demoralize us, and we won't let them steal the future from our kids. Our power begins and ends with the solidarity we have with one another. So know this, I stand with you. House Democrats stand with you. And we are all standing together against the fascist lie that our bodies are not our own, that non-white means non-qualified, that billionaires are more worthy of dignity than working families. The lie that the trans community is anything but courageous and joyous and entitled to a fair shot at the American dream, just like every other American. So we thank you all for speaking out against bigotry, for defending the basic promise of this country, for working and fighting for freedom and opportunity and dignity for every single person, and for an America that is worthy of all of our children. Let's stay in this fight. That's how we win. Thank you so much for having me.
something inside me say, I really don't think you're strong enough.
Hello, visible people. I see you. Everyone sees you. We need this day of visibility, and we need you. I'm Bear Atwood, Vice President of NOW, the National Organization for Women. My pronouns are she, her. NOW was founded more than 50 years ago by women who had enough of being told that they couldn't do, talk about, work for, or change what they wanted. NOW's co-founder, Shirley Chisholm, used to say, if they don't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair. Or occupy the mall. Another founder, Dr. Murray, wrote NOW's first statement of purpose, which was one of the first declarations of intersectionality as a social justice goal. She wrote, we realize that women's problems are linked to many broader questions of social justice. Their solution will require concerted action by many groups. Therefore, convinced that human rights are for all indivisible, we expect to give active support to the common cause of equal rights for all those who suffer discrimination and deprivation. Human rights for all, that is the call we answer today. And it's why NOW is so proud to stand with you on this historic place at this historic moment. Our grassroots activists are working in the states, and our national members are standing up to Trump and Musk and the anti-trans agenda that is unsafe for every American. We need courts, laws, and politicians who will stand up against bullying and discrimination directed at transgender students, criminalizing doctors and teachers for supporting trans rights, legalizing workplace harassment and discrimination, and the rest of these vicious attacks on the trans community. And this community needs allies. NOW is proud to stand with you today and throughout what comes next. Now it is my privilege to introduce Congresswoman Robin Kelly from Illinois. She is a true trans rights champion.
Good afternoon, everyone. We are here today to celebrate you and to celebrate trans joy. It is trans joy that will outshine Trump's bigotry, trans joy that will persist and persevere. We are here today to declare trans people are not invisible, not standing quietly on the sidelines, and not erasable. I'd like to thank the Christopher Street Project for inviting me to speak today. As we stand in front of the Capitol, I am so proud to be your ally in Congress. I see you. I see your power, and I will not let a bully steal your joy. On his first day in the Oval Office, Trump signed an executive order to try to erase trans people. It was full of bullshit like him. Trans people have always existed and will always exist, period. His actions and the actions of Republicans who bend the knee, however, have severe consequences. When Trump froze foreign aid funding, it threw global healthcare programs into chaos, especially PEPFAR. For over 20 years, PEPFAR has saved over 26 million lives worldwide and has been a lifeblood and a lifeline for LGBTQ plus people in the face of stigma and discrimination. In many countries, especially in places where people being true to yourself comes with immense risk, PEPFAR is the only program that provides HIV prevention, treatment, and care. Congresswoman Barbara Lee from Oakland has entrusted me with reauthorizing PEPFAR this Congress, and I will not let her down or you down. We are just 5 years away from ending HIV/AIDS pandemic. Our progress cannot stop. I will continue marching on. I promise you that. And I know each and every one of you will keep moving forward also. Please hang in there. Don't stand on the sidelines. We are fighting with one or two hands behind our back, but then we'll start kicking. But we need you to kick with us. Now I'd like to introduce my fabulous colleague from Oregon 4, Congresswoman Val Hoyle. Thank you.
Well, how are we doing today? So I am Val Hoyle. I represent the Central and South Coast of Oregon. And there's a bunch of people on Trans Day of Visibility that want you to disappear, to be quiet, anyone who's different. Well, I'm here to say, we'll stand with you loud and proud. I'm here to say that what's clear is that people living as their authentic selves should not be a problem for anyone else. I'm here to stand with the trans community because how you choose to live your life as your authentic self does not scare me, nor should it scare me, because our diversity is our strength. And what we've seen over the last election cycle is fear-mongering and disinformation targeting the trans community, and it's wrong. We have to stand together because, as so many transgender activists have said, trans people may be the first target, but they will not be the last. And we've seen the same cruel targets being used against unions, against immigrants, against legal permanent residents, and against who their only crime was exercising their right to free speech. Well, growing up in the labor movement, I learned very young one thing, and that is an attack on one is an attack on all. And the only way to push back against, some of the most powerful people in the world who have targeted trans people specifically is through solidarity. Across gender identities, races, genders, colors, creeds, class, it doesn't matter. We stand together or we all fall. So the fact of the matter is, your rights as trans people are directly tied to my rights as a woman, which are directly tied to the rights of college students, to immigrants, because we may not have the same story, but we are all vulnerable if we don't stand up. If we say, it's okay because I'm not like them, they won't stop. They will not stop. So just so you know, I will defend your right to live as you are as long as I am in this body. Because your right to be just you is directly tied to all of our rights. So I want to thank again the Christopher Street Project for this opportunity to speak to you today. Know you are welcome in my office here or if you're in Oregon. And I'd like to introduce voted the most effective freshman legislator of the 118th Congress, Hawaiian Jill Tokuda.
All right, aloha! Oh, let's do it again. Make sure that those assholes over the White House can hear you. Aloha! You know what? When I gave birth to my sons, and they're now teenagers, I finally understood what it meant to be willing to die for someone. And I know we've got some mothers out here right now who would do absolutely the same. To give absolutely everything, to make sure they were safe, that they were loved, that they were able to live as their true, authentic selves. And nowadays, I wake up every single morning mad as a mother that this inhumane, this heartless administration is seeking to erase our children, our families, our friends, our colleagues, our neighbors, our sisters, our brothers. I am furious at the cruelty, the ignorance, the deliberate stripping away of dignity of our transgender ohana. But hear me, my friends. Look around you, gathered beautifully, brightly, all of us here. Hear me when I say this. Transgender people are not a debate. Your existence is not up for discussion. Trans rights are human rights. Now, many of us come from cultures far older than this nation, where gender fluidity was not just accepted, it was honored. Over the course of Hawaii's history, the Mahu were healers and caretakers, extraordinary individuals of dual male and female mind, heart, and spirit. Absolutely, two spirits, not just two genders. Now I want to know something. Do I have any kama'aina in the house right now, or anyone who's ever visited Hawaii? Yell out loud. Well, if you've been to Hawaii in the last few years and you've walked along Waikiki Beach, famous Waikiki Beach that everyone visits, you would have passed 4 stones. In my office, I have this book, Kapai Mahu, prominently displayed for every single person to see when they walk in my office. It was written by Kumuhina Wongkalu, and it talks of the history and meaning of those stones, monuments to the Mahu who brought the healing arts to Hawaii. I share this with you, not only to convey the timeless existence of our trans and Mahu culture, but to honor someone I look up to as a mentor and a leader. Kumuhina is the one you want, I want, at the table to help navigate and negotiate what can be challenging and complicated issues facing Hawaii, our nation, and the world. And yet, in this so-called land of the free we live in, our transgender ohana have become vilified for simply being who they are. And critical cultural assets, and quite frankly, national security assets, like Kumuhina, will be left out of their room. Their knowledge, their experience, their leadership ignored, because this administration chooses to use fear as its weapon and ignorance as its shield. They want transgender people, our ohana, to disappear. The bigots want you to make you feel small. They want you to be silent. But every one of us here and out there know we will not let them succeed. We will not go back into the shadows. Now is not the time to shrink away and hide. Now is the time to stand, to fight, to claim your space, not just for survival, but for joy, for dignity, and for a future where no child, my child, your child, all of our children, no matter who they are, where they live, how they identify, should ever have to wonder if they belong. Because they do. We all do. We all belong. We are truly what makes this country great, and none of us are going anywhere. No law, no policy, no coward in power can take this away from us. This is our moment. This is our time. Rise up, resist, and let no one, my friends, no one forget that trans rights are human rights. Mahalo. It is now my pleasure to exist my United States Senator, a good friend, a lifelong champion for human rights, Brian Schatz. Put your hands together for him.
Thank you, Jill Tokuda.
Thank you so much. By the way,
Today is a very important day because it is all about making clear that trans people have a right to live freely, just like everybody else. It's about a very basic idea that everyone is already in possession of and deserves dignity, that everybody is a child of God, and that in this country, everybody has a right to be left alone. Now, what is more American than the belief that people get to live the life that they want so long as it's not hurting anybody? This is what this is about. Leave people alone. Donald Trump and his administration are waging an assault on trans people like never before. The ability to travel freely, the ability to get health care, the ability to work in the private sector or for the United States military, it's all under attack. They are literally searching lists of federal programs for the word gender to cut essential services that support trans people and other communities. But here's the thing, this stuff only works if we don't fight back. If you retreat in fear, and if the rest of us don't stand with you, that's not going to happen. We have your back today, tomorrow, and every day after that. We're going to keep fighting back against the attacks that infringe on your fundamental freedoms. There is nothing more fundamental enshrined in the Constitution of the United States of America that everybody gets to live their lives how they want. We've fought hard fights in this country before. Civil rights, women's voting rights, marriage equality. And it can feel depressing or overwhelming, and the trajectory of progress is often terrible. We make a little progress, we lose a lot of progress. We make a little progress, we lose a lot of progress. That's where we are right now. We're in one of those moments where people are honest to goodness terrified for themselves, for their communities, for their families, for their coworkers, for their friends, for their very country. But I want you to know that we are in this fight with you. We are in this fight for you, and we understand that trans rights are human rights. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Senator Schatz. I am now honored to introduce a steadfast champion of trans people who has stood with us for years and will stand with us, will vote even when he's the only one in defense of trans folks. From Massachusetts and Boston down to DC, please welcome Senator Ed Markey.
Thank you all so much. I'm Senator Ed Markey from Massachusetts. Thank you for having me here today. Let me begin by saying loud and clear, trans rights are human rights. We know this, and we know this is in the face of Donald Trump and Elon Musk and Republicans' relentless campaign against transgender Americans. We have seen transgender Americans banned from the military, denied life-saving, gender-affirming care. Trump and Musk and Republicans are wrong, and they are wrong for telling you who you are. and who you can be. They are wrong for using money for health care and education as a tool for discrimination. And they are wrong for fighting so hard to take away your freedom. The Trump administration may try to use trans people to attack Americans' basic rights and freedoms, but they will never win. They cannot keep people from being who they are. Transgender and non-binary people will continue to exist, and I will keep fighting with you. But they are going to keep fighting to intimidate and threaten trans people, their families, and their providers, because hate and fear is easier than the fight for freedom, equity, and justice for every American. Growing up, I was taught that you can't beg for your rights. You organize and you take them. And we are here today to take those rights. Thank you for being here. We are here to organize and fight for trans rights, for health care and freedom and liberation. Your visibility shows them. Republicans will never take your existence from you. And while they fight to take your freedom, your visibility, and your joy away, I will stand with you. That is why I am fighting to pass my Trans Bill of Rights, which I've introduced into the United States Senate. This resolution recognizes that the federal government has a duty to guarantee trans rights and ensure access to health care, to housing, to safety, to economic security. Freedom is not inevitable. It is fought for by people who say no in the face of discrimination, no in the face of invasive laws that seek to limit what health care you can get, and no to the anti-justice and anti-freedom agenda driving attacks on trans people. I am proud to stand with you today and every day, to organize and to fight, because trans rights are human rights. I love you. Thank you.
Hello, DC! My name's Brian, pronouns he, him. We represent GLSEN. GLSEN is a national organization that for over 3 decades has worked to build more inclusive and safer schools for LGBTQ youth. We're fighting for an education system where there are no bans on books, no bans on our names, and no bans on our kids. Where there is a federal Department of Education that watches out for our civil rights. And schools where every child has the opportunity to learn in a place that is safe from fear, from violence, and from discrimination.
Hey DC, my name is Jen, and I am a mom of 4 who will never stop fighting for her children. When some people in the building behind us talk about parental rights, they're missing the memo that parents like me have rights too. We have the right to expect that the schools we send our kids to for 7 hours a day will be safe and affirming. We have the right to expect our schools will let our kids use a bathroom where they feel safe and comfortable. We have a right for our kids to play on sports teams. And we have the right for our children's names and pronouns to be respected, just like little Timothy has the right to be called Tim. In my home state of Florida, our family, in my home state of Florida, our family has been living through these attacks and government restrictions since 2021 as a testing grounds for Project 2025. We've been fighting back locally since then, organizing in communities and showing up at every opportunity to give public comment. I even sued the state, shout out to Southern Legal, because when our elected officials stop representing the full community, the courts can enforce our rights. All the executive orders in the world cannot change federal civil rights law or the Constitution. Now we must be ready to fight against all of this noise out of Washington. As a parent, I'll fight like hell for my kids' rights, and I know that you will too. Thank you, and now I am very happy to introduce a true ally who has been fighting for our community for years, my very own Congressman, Maxwell Frost.
How's everybody doing? Well, hello everybody. I'm so proud to be here today, and thank you to the Christopher Street Project and all the incredible partner organizations for having us all gathered. And I want to wish everybody a powerful, impactful, safe, and happy Trans Day of Visibility. Today we're gathered to send Donald Trump and this administration and anyone with hate in their hearts one message: the trans community is going nowhere. Trans people are human beings just like anyone else. They have the right to life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. And I'm proud to be from the state of Florida, which I used to say the great state. Now I say the beautiful state because we have beautiful people. But the reality, and Jen just said this, when I was traveling the country last year, I kept telling people that Project 2025 was Florida 2024, was Florida 2023, was Florida 2022, where the state legislatures and authoritarians like Ron DeSantis have been targeting the trans community. Yeah, boo! Have been targeting the trans community and trans kids for years. Trans people are people first. Their identity and sexual orientation has never and will never make them any lesser, no matter what any president or billionaire wants to say. See, throughout human history, the fascists, the authoritarians, the oligarchs have used the same playbook. They take the legitimate problems that our people have and they pick communities to blame. Not only has Donald Trump decided to scapegoat trans people, but in even a more despicable move, he's chosen to scapegoat kids, trans kids. The authoritarians lie to the people and say that the source of their issues are another group of people. They go to folks and say, give me the power and I will deal with them. But history and the present has shown us that yes, fear, fascism, and bigotry sometimes can be a powerful force. But what's even more powerful than any politician, what's more powerful than any form of bigotry, what's more powerful than any executive order, than any billionaire, is the will of the people to throw out the bullshit politics of scarcity and to accept the politics of love and justice for all people. And can have some real talk? There are some people who are learning all the wrong lessons from this last election. Some of them even in my own party. They'd have us believe that in order to win, we have to betray trans Americans. That we have to throw them under the bus. But not only is that not true, but I would say that part of the reason we're in the situation we're in the first place is because we weren't loud enough to fight for the trans community. See, the authoritarians and fascists succeed when we are quiet about what matters. And I would tell you that it is not smart politically to champion a community and to throw them under the bus when you feel like it's not right for the politics. Because not only does it send a message to that community, but it tells the entire country, we will sell you out. We have to stand 10 toes down for trans Americans and trans kids. And so I'm just here to give you all the flowers you deserve. This has nothing to do with that fleeting, weak feeling of hate, and it has to do with love. The power of loving the oppressed more than we hate the oppressor. Because when you love somebody, you want them to have true freedom. The freedom to love who they want to love, be who they want to be, and to be who they are. And as the authoritarians and the fascists try to pit neighbors against neighbors and communities against communities, let's make sure that people across this country know the reason you can't pay your rent, the reason that you can't afford health care, the reason that you have to fear gun violence, the reason that you can't afford your grocery has nothing to do with trans people and everything to do with the billionaires and corrupt corporations that have been giving us crumbs for generations. That I promise you, I swear to God, your bank account looks more like your trans neighbors than it does look like Donald Trump's or Elon Musk's. So either way, y'all, I am proud and I am honored to be in this struggle with you, especially with the queer community and all of our trans Americans in the South that have been struggling under authoritarian regimes for years and years and years. And because in the words of the late, great, the first Black queer woman in the United States, Congress Barbara Jordan, what the people want is simple: a country as great as its promise. And remember that no Donald Trump, no Elon Musk, none of these motherfuckers can take that promise away from trans Americans, from the queer community, from the South, all the way to the North. God bless you all, and thank you for having me.
She, her, and I am the very proud sister of a trans brother and a gender non-conforming sibling. We're a real millennial family. And I've always just wanted my siblings to be happy and healthy and confident enough to go after their dreams and love who they are. And guess what? After coming out and getting the support that they needed, they are. And that's all I want for every trans kid. Honestly, that's all I want for every kid in this country. To be seen and loved and supported, to feel accepted and celebrated. And that's why I am so heartbroken that trans kids across this country have to hear all of the bullshit coming from this White House, from Republicans in Congress, and honestly, from some Democrats in Congress too. Because the people that we expect to protect us and lead us are banning trans kids from sports teams, kicking trans service members out of the armed forces, and denying trans people their basic fundamental rights. And that's why today is so important. It is not about their hate and division and scare tactics and fear-mongering. It's about you and the beautiful resilience and courageous and proud community that we are all a part of. So today, along with Congresswoman Jayapal, we introduced a resolution to mark the Transgender Day of Visibility, because here's the thing, they're trying to make us feel alone. They're trying to alienate trans people. They're trying to say that we're the only ones who care about this. This is not something people care about. And it's just not true. I'm so proud to represent San Diego, one of the biggest military communities in the country. Yeah, where are my San Diegans at? Nice. It's better weather here today than in San Diego, I'm told, so look at us. But listen, representing San Diego means that I spend an incredible amount of time with our service members and thinking about our service members and how we make sure we're doing everything to protect our national security. And I've met countless trans service members who are incredible at what they do and have unparalleled expertise and technical knowledge, who are being targeted and at risk of being kicked out of the armed services just for their identity. I I've heard from folks who are waiting months for their gender-affirming care surgeries, and then they're getting canceled. Folks who are already in the middle of their care and missing a surgery means potential huge medical complications. I heard from an officer in the U.S. Navy whose career could still be taken away even though they are a high-demand surface warfare officer, which we don't have enough of, just because they're trans. I heard from another trans sailor who enlisted in the U.S. Navy in 2015 who earned numerous awards and deployed numerous times and could still be discharged. I heard from another officer who's been in the U.S. Navy for 16 years. She's mentored hundreds of military, civilian, and contract personnel. She's completed 500 military training courses, earned multiple degrees, and been awarded medals for her conduct and achievement multiple times. And yet, 2 days before she was supposed to start hormone replacement therapy, Trump issued his executive order, and now her therapy is paused. So here's the deal. I never want to hear my Republican colleagues tell someone thank you for their service ever again, because it is obvious that they do not actually care for our service members and our veterans. And they don't care about our country's safety and security either, because the fact that kicking out trans service members means it's going to cost us billions of dollars to get their expertise back. So here's the thing, guys. We're not going to stop fighting this. And no matter what some in my party might say, we are not going to buy into the false narrative that we can either protect trans kids or win elections. Because that is some bullshit. So who's ready to fight? Who's ready to fight to make sure that every single kid in this country, whether we know them or not, is seen and heard and appreciated and loved? This fight won't be easy, it won't be short, but we are all in this together because this community deserves love and acceptance. And that's so much bigger than hate and division, and it always will be. So thank you all so much for everything you're doing. It's such an honor to be doing this work alongside all of you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Congresswoman Yasaman Ansari. I proudly represent Phoenix, Glendale, and Guadalupe, Arizona in Congress. And I am so excited to be here with you all today. Yesterday in Arizona, I was able to join thousands of Arizonans to support 1 in 10, which is Arizona's largest provider of services to LGBTQ+ youth and young people, and it's the largest charity event in the state of Arizona. So coming off of that event, being here with you all today, it is absolutely an honor. I'm here today because I believe with everything in me that LGBTQIA+ youth and the community matter. I believe that trans people matter, and I believe that trans kids matter. And I believe that all of us should be able to live authentically and openly as ourselves and to be celebrated for that, not attacked. What is utterly insane to me is that there are people in this world and in this administration, of course, people like Donald Trump and Elon Musk, who would rather spend their time and energy attacking children for being themselves than actually doing something to stop people from going into debt, from getting medical treatment, or making sure that people can pay their rent each month. My constituents sent me to Congress to fight for them and to advocate for our community's most vulnerable populations, including the LGBTQIA+ community. Donald Trump, on the other hand, wants to use this community as a scapegoat to distract from the fact that everything he's doing, from trying to slash Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, to gutting the Department of Education to benefit his billionaire donors at the expense of all of the rest of us. I am so sick and tired of the lies and scapegoating of trans people. These lies do not just hurt trans people. In my district, a community health care center was stripped of their federal government funding as they provide care like HIV and STI testing to the LGBTQIA community. But they serve our entire community at large. My team and I successfully fought to restore their funding so that they can keep providing the health care that all of us rely on. And I'm sure that you all heard the disgusting rhetoric that was spewed at the joint address to Congress by our so-called president. When he started attacking trans youth, that is when I had enough of the bullshit. And I walked out because I could not sit there and take it any longer. I have one message for Donald Trump. Leave trans kids alone. To all of the trans young people in our country who are scared to go to school, scared to be who you are, I am so sorry. My heart is broken for you, but I am here to tell you that I hear you, I see you, and I am fighting alongside of you. I believe that you matter and that you deserve human rights and freedom and respect just like every other American in the United States. I want you to know that I will not stop fighting for you so that every single one of you will be able to be who you are unapologetically as your authentic selves. It gives me so much hope for the future to see all of the people gathered here today, because from the streets to the halls of Congress, we have to fight back every single day to make sure that every one of us has rights. So thank you so much for everything that you're doing. And there is so much to be hopeful for. Let me tell you that. I proudly serve as the class president of the Freshman Democrats. And there are 3 leaders in our class alone who demonstrate the progress and demonstrate that we are winning in the fight for LGBTQ+ rights in this country. And with that, it is my absolute honor to welcome the first queer member of Congress from Texas, yes, Texas, Julie Johnson.
Hey, y'all. I'm Julie Johnson. I'm out. I win in the red states, I win in the hard states, I win in Texas, and fucking rain's not gonna stop us today. I just want to say this. I love all the signs, I love all the people, and I just want to make a note to the parents out there. You know, I've had so many parents come up to me. That's a great staffer, isn't it? I've had so many parents come up to me worried about their kids, terrified about their children. And my message to you is this: I'm here, I see you, I fight for you, and we will not stop until your kids have all the dignity that they deserve. We see your pain. I see these parents out there. I see your signs. Thank you for being here. Thank you for loving your kids. And thank you for loving them and not being an asshole and turning your back on them. Right? You know, these times are tough. People ask me all the time, what can we do? So my question to you here is, did you vote in the last election? Did everybody vote? These elections mean more now than ever, and if you live in Florida, for the love of God, vote tomorrow. If you live in Wisconsin, for the love of God, vote tomorrow. We have to win elections. Organize, protest, raise hell. The LGBT community is in the halls of Congress, and we're never stopping. We're never stopping. We are never stopping.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for standing in the rain. You all are champions. Let's go. Rain or shine, we are out here, we are visible, and we are not going away. And we would like to introduce you to our next speaker. We're expecting the rain to stop in about 5 minutes. So if you all can hold out, that would be amazing. And yeah, keep each other warm, keep each other safe, hold umbrellas for each other. And we got this. Let's go. Please welcome Congressman Jerry Nadler.
Good afternoon, everyone. On what was a beautiful Trans Day of Visibility. We stand here today to honor the bravery, resilience, and defiance of a community that refuses to be erased. We stand united against the hostile administration that seeks to erase the transgender community from history and to deny its very existence. Let me be clear. The Trump administration's attempt to, quote, restore biological truth to the federal government, close quote, is complete nonsense. Trump is pandering to the lowest part of his base and using the transgender community to instigate fear and fuel the Republicans' culture wars. I was the first member of Congress to speak about transgender people on the House floor in 1998. In that speech, I spoke of expanding the promise of the Declaration of Independence to include the last unrepresented group, gays, lesbians, and transgender people. That statement is permanently in the congressional record, just as the voices of trans individuals will not be erased, not from our history books, not from our government websites, and certainly not from the laws that protect your freedoms. When the Supreme Court overturned Roe and warned that same-sex marriages could be next, I sent my Respect for Marriage Act to President Biden's desk to permanently enshrine marriage equality into law, so that all LGBTQ+ couples can have the peace of mind that their marriages will be respected by the federal government. Today, the challenges we face from the Trump administration are even greater. We must mobilize. We must take the lessons learned at Stonewall, a sacred place I was proud to establish as a national monument along with President Obama, and fight back. And you know, when the Stonewall riot occurred in 1969, who was it that caused it? Who was it that staged the Stonewall riot? It was the trans people. I fought to ensure that the story of LGBTQ+ resistance, trans resistance, would be told for generations to come, so that no future administration could simply rewrite history to fit their agenda of exclusion and discrimination. And yet, they are trying. But let me tell you this, we will not let them. To the transgender community, to the young people watching and wondering if your country sees you, values you, and will fight for you, I say this, we see you, we value you, and we will never stop fighting for you. We will not go back. The LGBT community will not be erased. And if we all remain united, we will persevere. Thank you.
Congressmember Judy Chu from Southern California. And I want to make my message loud and clear. Trans rights are human rights, and human rights are trans rights. You know, since day one, the Trump administration has made it their mission to escalate the barrage of attacks on the trans community. They tried to ban doctors, parents, and kids from determining the medical necessity, life-saving, gender-affirming health care for trans youth. They tried to ban school districts, administrators, and teachers from treating trans students with dignity and respect. They tried to ban trans people from putting their lives on the line to serve our country. They even wanted to restrict trans people from the freedom to travel by prohibiting passport changes. Well, are we going to stand for this? We cannot stand for this. In fact, Trump, Musk, and their lackeys have no plans to address the very real problems of our day. Instead, they want scapegoats, and they are landing on trans people to blame them for our country's problems. It would be laughable if it weren't so threatening to trans Americans' lives. So we are here to say, we will not stand by in silence. We will stand up for our trans brothers and sisters. And I am here to stand up for my nephew who is making the transition from woman to man. And I fear for Elio. I fear for what the future will hold for him as this punitive administration takes it out on trans people. But I tell you, we will fight back. And as vice chair of the Congressional Equality Caucus, I want you to know that, I will always stand by you. I will always stand by you to fight back against these unjust and un-American attacks on people's human rights. We have to pass the Equality Act. We have to stop discrimination against LGBTQ+ people. Is that right? The trans community makes enormous contributions to every sector of our society. So no matter what the disgusting rhetoric and executive orders the administration tries to push, we know the truth. Trans people matter, trans people's rights matter, and trans rights are human rights, right? And we will fight back. Thank you all so very much.
Hi, I'm Congressman Subramaniam. Happy Trans Day of Visibility. Yeah. We are here, rain or shine. I think we have a little bit of both, but we are here because this administration is trying to erase every transgender person and take away their rights, and we are not going to let that happen without a fight. We want to see the law protect every person's right to live openly, authentically. We want policies of acceptance, not hate. And I have heard from constituents all over my county and my state about what's happening. One said that they are trying to take away life-saving medications. Are we going to let that happen? No. Another transgender federal worker said that they were singled out, and another said they're being fired just for being trans. Are we going to let that happen? No. So many other highly qualified transgender service members in the military are losing their jobs just because they're trans, and parents are terrified of how their trans children will be treated at school. And for those who say that these attacks on trans people are okay, or they just let it happen, just know that today they're going to come for trans people, tomorrow they're going to come for you, and we're not going to let that happen. So we must do everything we can to fight this, and your voice has made a difference, and it will continue to make a difference. And so I want to ask you, will you join me and rise up? Will you be on the right side of history with me? Will you fight with me? Then let's get to work. Thank you so much for being here today.
I'm Pramila Jayapal. I represent the Seattle area in Congress, and I am so proud to be here with you on Trans Day of Visibility to send a powerful message to Donald Trump and Elon Musk that trans people will not be erased. Today is a day to say no to the bullying, the transphobia, the violence that Trump and Musk and others are inflicting on trans people here in America, indeed around the world, solely so that they can distract you from the fact that they are trying to scam $4.5 trillion of your hard-earned money so they can give more tax cuts to the wealthy billionaires. Now, I want to be very clear about something. Grocery prices are going up because of corporate greed, not because of trans people. Your Medicare, Social Security, and Medicaid are being slashed and burned because of their greed, not because of trans people. And living wage jobs and affordable housing in America have been destroyed because of greedy CEOs and private equity companies, not because of trans people. Now, I think that many of you know that this issue is very, very personal to me. As a mom and as a Congress member, I know that our kids are just kids, regardless of their gender identity. They deserve the chance to be who they fully are. And it absolutely breaks my heart to hear trans person after trans person coming up to me and saying that they feel like the government, the United States government, is trying to exterminate them out of existence. So let's say it loud and clear. Trans people will not be erased. Can you say that with me? Trans people will not be erased. Today is a day to honor and lift up the lives and the legacies of trans and non-binary people across this country, to recommit ourselves to true dignity and equality and respect for every single person, and to build our power to resist. Because make no mistake, I don't want you to be confused about this. I know you're not. They know we are powerful. Because why else would they go after a group of people that represent less than 1% of all of the country's population? My theory, this is just a theory, you tell me what you think, is that they are terrified of what freedom really looks like. They are terrified that our freedom, our ability to display that freedom, the liberation of trans people, will be a gorgeous example to everyone that we all deserve freedom. And that tsunami of the power of freedom will cascade around those who want to imprison us and jail us in our minds and our bodies, but also in reality as they strip free speech and dissent, strip the very programs that keep us working and healthy, and jail and deport immigrants and terrorize people into silence. Well, we've got news for them. We won't be silenced. We will fight for our freedoms and the liberation of every person in America. Let's rally around our trans community and show our country just how beautiful it is when trans people, when black, brown, and white people, when poor and rich people, when immigrant and non-immigrant, rural and urban are all able to live dignified, free lives as their true, authentic selves. Let's link our arms together, and if you want to do that right now with the people next to you, let's link our arms together and show that our coordinated resistance is stronger than their hate, that our love is greater than their greed, and that our power will eclipse their cruelty. Let's stand strong, let's link arms, and let's say together, trans people will not be erased. We will fight for our freedom with love and generosity because that is who we are, and together we will win. Thank you, everybody.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Paul Tonko. I represent the Capital Region of New York, New York 20. I have a question. Are we ready to speak out for freedom? Are we ready to defend freedom? I agree. I stand here today with you in solidarity, in strength, and in the unwavering belief that trans rights are human rights. Trans rights are human rights. I stand in disbelief as I watch this cruel and calculated campaign of erasure run by a president of a country that proclaims freedom to the entire world. It is awkward to hear that kind of an agenda. These are not just political maneuvers. That would be bad enough. But they're real in the ripping away of rights that affect people, rights that affect families, rights that affect freedom and the opportunity to move forward in life. And so I will stand with you in solidarity to defend trans rights as human rights. In New York 20, I hear from my constituents, from within that trans community. I hear from those who are frightened to travel into foreign places because they're concerned they might not be able to return to the nation that they love. I hear from those out there who are service members in the trans community who have defended this nation in all for which she stands, freedom for which she stands, and they're worried that their career, their service would be disrupted. I hear from parents who are concerned, family members who are concerned that their family member, their trans member, will not get the health care they deserve and require. I hear from those teachers who are concerned about trans students who will be bullied mercilessly and they have no protection. So these are the voices I hear in New York 20. These are the voices I defend. These are the voices reminding us we are a nation of all kinds of people. We're a great bit of diversity. We celebrate that diversity, and it's an honor to join you today in this effort for Trans Day of Visibility at a rally here in 2025. So, our message is we don't simply sit by complacent. We raise our voices, we lift our energy, we stand up, we speak out, and we make certain that we will not allow for this injustice to occur. Why? Because we believe in the principles of liberty, equality, and justice for all. So I will not sit by idly. I will be a strong voice, and I will defend justice in this nation. equality in this nation, respect in this nation, delivered to all in the trans community and the entire nation. You are part of the peoplescape of a great country that is a beacon of hope, that has been the voice of freedom. Let's live accordingly. Let's fight for freedom. 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 God bless. Love you. Let's go forward.
We're going to fight to pass the Transgender Bill of Rights to codify protections in healthcare, education, and public accommodation. We're going to fight to pass the Equality Act, and we're going to continue to fight every single day to protect our communities. But I want to take a moment to share a story that comes from my district, somebody who wanted their voice to be heard here today. So I'm going to share the story of one of my constituents. Their name is Emmeline Prudence Rose. These are her words. I am a proud trans woman, but trans is simply how I got here. It is not the whole of who I am. I am an honorably discharged Army veteran. I am a small business owner and a mechanic. I am a retired EMT with 10 years of experience in an ambulance and an ER. I am a college graduate, but most of all, I am a human. And I am sad. I laugh. I fall in love. I get my heart broken. I love great food and I live for music. I create art and I love fast cars and big trucks. And I serve the people in my community every chance I get because truthfully, I love the people around me.
I am American. I am alive. I am human. And next month, I will have surgery, a surgery that I cannot have at home. And I will have to travel to a hostile state where my existence is unwelcome and my life is in danger. I never thought that I would see a day when an American citizen, a veteran, cannot travel without fear in her own country. To that I say this: I refuse to be afraid, because I am human and I exist and I am now and always have been the woman that my mother raised, and I will not apologize and I will not hide, because I am one of you. And that is who we are fighting for. So continue to have hope, continue to have heart, and continue to stay in the fight. We love you.
How are we feeling? Thank you all so much for staying here. We had a little rain, but I love to see that you're all still here. We have some amazing speakers still lined up and a very special guest for you that's coming up. Right now, I'm so excited to introduce the amazing trailblazer from the state of New Hampshire, State Representative Alice Wade.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good to see you. Thanks for sticking through the weather. But we can't have a rainbow if we don't have a little rain and shine. But yeah, so, today I'd like to take the time to share a personal story with all of you, because it's really essential to understand what's at stake with these discriminatory policies all around the country. It was November 5th, Election Day last year. And like many of you, I spent the day at my polling place holding signs and talking to voters and, waiting for the results to come in. Around nighttime, the last Republican volunteer showed up to hold signs, and I introduced myself. After talking for a little while, he told me the reason he hadn't participated much in politics this year. It turned out that one of his children had passed away the previous summer, and he just didn't have the energy. I could tell how difficult it was for him to share, but at the same time, he was reaching out to me for a reason. Right about the time the polls had closed, I started to pack up my things, and he pulled me aside, and he asked me a question. Are you transgender? And I said yes. It turned out the reason that his son had passed away was he was a transgender man who had taken his own life the previous summer. Even though he didn't fully understand what it meant to be transgender, he loved his child deeply and regretted not having more time to understand him before he passed away. He asked about my own experience being a trans woman and what I thought could have contributed to their suicide. I shared how deeply painful it can be for trans people to go through life in a society hostile to our very existence, and how transitioning saved my life 6 years ago. We kept talking about all sorts of things, all sorts of stories about his son's life, long past the time the polls had closed. He was worried about how the rest of his family was coping with the loss and what he could do. After that, we hugged for a bit, and everything else that happened that day just faded away. Long after he had left, I couldn't stop thinking about that conversation, about a father just trying to understand his child and cope, and how much pain could be avoided if we didn't treat trans people like political weapons. I will remember that conversation for the rest of my life. In those moments, we were not a Republican or a Democrat. We were just two people trying to reach out and genuinely understand each other. I truly hope his family is doing better now, but their child is not coming back. I wish I had gotten the chance to meet them. Right now, we're facing an all-out assault on our right to health care, our civil rights, and even our ability to participate in public life. All because trans people have been unwillingly dragged into the crosshairs of politics. We will not compromise the rights of Americans over a manufactured issue. We have to stop the political weaponization of the trans community and focus on the real stories of people and families who are being harmed by the Trump administration's policies and by state legislatures all around the country. The fight will be long, and it will not be easy. But nonetheless, we must do it. We must raise the voices of those being silenced, not for the sake of political strategy, but because it is the right thing to do. We are moving the needle here, and we will get there one day, but we need everyone to step up and share their voice in this fight. I'm asking you today to march with us, speak out, write, organize, protest, vote, run for office, and support the most vulnerable among us. We cannot wait for someone to come and save us from this crisis. Every one of us needs to step up in our communities and fight back. And do not stop until every single trans person can live their life with peace, with dignity, and joy. Let this be the generation that stood up, not for ourselves, but for each other. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I said good afternoon and happy day of trans visibility. My name is Jay Jones, and I serve as the 64th Howard University Student Association Executive President, the first woman of trans experience of any historically black college or university to be elected. You know? And I am more than ecstatic to be joining you all on this momentous occasion. I was 20 years old when I was elected and inaugurated as the 63rd Howard University Student Association Executive Vice President. And I remember the power that I had in being visible. When I campaigned and became the 64th Howard University Student Association President, and y'all, I gotta say it every time because it's a long title, I was taught the great life lesson that visibility is about more than just being seen, but it's about reclaiming the power of how people see us. In this day and age, we have people who are trying to erase trans people, black people, and anyone who does not fit the mold of being white, cisgendered, and male. But I only have one thing to say to anyone who's trying to erase people. Visibility is not about you trying to take away the gender marker that's on my ID. Visibility is not about you trying to assign the bathroom that I can and cannot use. Visibility is about my ability to show up unfazed in dying moments of oppression. Visibility is about my ability to organize, mobilize, and galvanize people when an institution says that I cannot. So on this National Day of Trans Visibility, I only have one thing to say to everyone who's out here. Be visible, be seen, and be heard. Thank you all so much.
God damn, I have to follow that? Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jennifer Flynn Walker, and I'm the co-chief of campaigns for Popular Democracy. We are a network of 48 of the most badass
My pronouns are she, hers. We're proud to stand here with Christopher Street Project, our trans siblings, and all of you on Trans Day of Visibility to affirm what should be fucking undeniable. Trans people belong, deserve joy, and deserve safety. The escalating attacks on trans communities, on healthcare, public space, basic rights, they're not isolated. They are the blueprint for broader assaults on bodily autonomy, racial justice, and gender equity that will impact all of us. We must name these attacks for what they are: a coordinated effort to roll back civil rights and divide our communities. Our fight for liberation is intertwined, and we will not be silent. I'm here as a longtime warrior in the fight for the rights of the LGBTQIA+ community, and someone who is proudly and happily married to a wonderful trans man. We at Popular Democracy will continue to stand up against these attacks on trans people, particularly trans youth. They are cruel, calculated, and again, they're part of a broader agenda that will impact every single one of us. There is an attack on our 14th Amendment, on the right for us to be citizens, and it's just starting right here with the trans community. When politicians go after trans people's right to exist, they're laying the groundwork to come after all of us. Make no mistake, first they came for healthcare for trans kids, and then they came after Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, SNAP, TANF, the Affordable Care Act. They're coming for it all. This isn't a side issue. The attacks on trans people are central. They're a central threat to our collective freedom, and our silence or inaction will only let them take everything from all of us. Trans people have shown up for all the affiliates of Popular Democracy in all of our fights for justice, time and time again. From Stonewall to Stop Cop City to mutual aid networks, trans people have always led the way, and we say thank you. And we are going to be bringing people from all over the country into DC every single week to engage in direct action at the Capitol. Join Popular Democracy if you want to be a part of it. To the trans community, we see you, we love you, we are with you in this fight for dignity, for safety, and for liberation. And I'm going to go a little old school. Act up, fight back, fight Trump, fight Musk, act up, fight back, fight Trump, fight Musk, act up, fight back, fight Trump, fight Musk. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rege Galo. How is everybody doing today? Now, I just have to comment that it is sunny over here on all of your beautiful faces, and it's a little bit gray over Congress. Just want to point out that dichotomy here. My name is Rege Galo. I am HRC's Director of Regional State and State Campaigns, and I am a proud transgender man. You know, lately it feels like the whole world is telling trans and non-binary people that we do not belong. But I can tell you, honestly, that right now, 15-year-old Reg couldn't have dreamed of a moment like this. And when I look out on this crowd, I know a world without us would be boring and drab. And when I think about all of the conversations that I've had here today, I know that we are not alone. Our visibility is powerful and necessary. To my trans and non-binary siblings, I promise that I will continue to show up and fight for a better future for all of us. And I know that all of you will be with us every step of the way. Is that right? Is that right? And to our allies, thank you for being here And I challenge you to dive into those honest conversations that we've been called on to have. Know that you don't have to be perfect. And while effort alone isn't enough, it does go a very long way. But we know that words are nothing without acts. And so I urge you to act. Go on beyond this day. Continue to have those conversations. Call your representatives. Call your senators. Hold them accountable. We will fight back, and we will win. Thank you all. I love you.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. My name is Joseph Givargis. I'm the executive director of Our Revolution, the organization that Bernie Sanders started to transform our country. And we are proud to stand in solidarity with everyone here today. And today is not just about being seen. It's not just about visibility. It's also about making sure that our fundamental rights are respected. Under Donald Trump's regime, we are confronted with a war on our fundamental civil rights. That's right, boo it. Look, immigrants and peace activists are being detained and deported without due process. That's right. Civil servants are being purged and unions are being busted. Lawyers are being intimidated and judges are being threatened with impeachment. The free media in the United States is being silenced. So in the context of all of this, it's no surprise that the Trump regime is attempting to eradicate and erase trans rights. It is unacceptable. And I want to say this. There's no better indication of what the administration is doing than what Trump's EEOC just did, which it said it's going to ignore the Supreme Court's precedent, the Supreme Court's ruling in Bostock, saying that non-binary and trans people are covered by the Civil Rights Act. Donald Trump, that's right, Donald Trump's Civil Rights Agency is saying we are not going to enforce civil rights laws. Is that okay with you? No, it's un-American. You see, the thing is, Donald Trump and his regime has a very narrow definition of what it means to be an American and who belongs in our political community. If you're an immigrant, you don't belong. If you're a union organizer, you don't belong. If you are a person with a disability, you don't belong. If you're poor, you don't belong. If you disagree with this administration, you don't belong. And if you're trans, you definitely don't belong. Is that okay with you? Is that the America that you grew up in? It's not the America that I grew up in. And it is not the America that we know. America was created on the premise that we all belong and that we all have fundamental rights. Every single one of us. And in this moment of adversity, solidarity is the most important organizing principle. Solidarity. We all must stand together because we know an injury to one is an injury to all. And that's why I'm here to say that our revolution, our members around the United States stand in solidarity with the trans community and with everyone who is under attack, because we are in this struggle together and until the very end. And we have a saying, we have a chant at our revolution, and it's, when I say, when we organize, you say we win. When we organize! When we organize! When we organize! Woo, thank you.
Hi, everyone. It is my honor and privilege to introduce you to a very special guest. She is a Golden Globes winning actor, a New York Times bestselling author, writer, producer, director, and philanthropist. She started and served as executive producer, writer, and director for HBO's hit series Girls, which wrapped after 6 critically acclaimed seasons. She devotes an extensive amount of her time to philanthropic causes such as Planned Parenthood, Girls Right Now, and GEMS, girls' education and mentoring services, and she's a strong supporter of trans people everywhere, no matter what Washington is saying about us. With that, please join me in giving a warm welcome to our friend, Lena Dunham.
What a beautiful group of people. It's a true honor to be here today to speak to and about a community that has impacted my life so profoundly. You have all heard from a range of incredible policymakers who can speak to the ways that we must help protect the civil rights of our trans friends and family. We've heard from a lot of people much more qualified than I am about how to stand strong in the face of such hatred and misunderstanding. And those experts have naturally addressed the dangers and traumas trans people face today and the hard truths about how trans people are valued by the current leadership of this country. But I just wanted to be here to take a moment to speak some joy and gratitude that I have been able to love and be loved by trans people, and the happiness, heart, and humor of those relationships and this incredible community. Growing up, like so many girls who watch network TV, I thought the best gift you could have in your corner was a sister. The connection, the shared experience, even the battles. What I'd seen on those sitcoms was that sisters are there for each other. They protect each other and they teach each other. But when my sibling came out as trans, I learned that I had never actually had a sister at all, but a wise, funny, resilient, powerful, remarkable brother. And I found that the greatest thing you can have in your corner was not a sister, but it was a happy and embodied sibling, and just as divine, a trans person in your family. The experience of going through my brother's transition has been a profound gift to our family. We have laughed, we have cried, we have learned and relearned and laughed some more, because you really have not lived until you've seen a 75-year-old white cis man standing in the middle of a party of chic trans girls trying to call an outfit a sleigh. He really tried, and we love that for him. But we all began to embrace the constant motion and fluidity, to wear our own identities lightly, and to realize that the only unshakable tenet of family is love. I've seen my parents grow into a new understanding of their child, and I re-met my sibling as the truest version of himself, the person that he already was as a child before society sent so many signals about what conformity meant, and he had to shut away these beautiful and essential aspects of who he is. But there have also been extra special surprises as I've gotten the chance to be close to my brother and to a myriad of dear trans friends and other family members. It's the gift of seeing the world in a new way. It's learning that I could exist in a new way too. Like so many people who identify as female, I have often felt constricted and inadequate trying to measure up to the culture's idea of what it means to be a woman.
But as I've watched my trans loved ones come into their own truths, it was as if I went from perceiving only primary colors to a whole rainbow of subtle shades. From seeing flat images to looking at the world in 4D. And I released so much of the need to define myself against someone else's measuring stick, and I was able to embrace aspects of who I truly was that I had beaten into submission. To know a trans person is to know someone who has taken a Herculean journey to overpower these assumptions. Someone who has experienced profound inner and outer doubt, and they have triumphed. Their very existence in this world is a miracle of self-definition, and as a result, my trans loved ones are the wisest, funniest, and most embodied people that I have ever known. They have a clarity of purpose that is rare and that makes everything they do that much more powerful. Their transness does not define them, but it does bring new definition of to the lives of every single person who knows them and loves them. So when I asked my sibling what he might want to hear me say today, and what he did not want me to say, which included phrases like, "Boots the house down, mama," he made it clear that there would be enough dialogue about what impossible odds are faced right now by the trans community, especially trans youth and trans people of color, and enough conversation about the horrific abuses that the government is attempting to commit and the rights they're attempting to take away, and already in the process of doing. He said my only job was to express how special, sweet, fab, fun, delightful, and divine it is to be embraced by trans people, to live in proximity to trans lives, and to call this community our community. So if these words reach just one teenager who wonders if they've been abandoned by cis people after the most recent election, or one trans person struggling to remember how loved they are, I will have done my whole job. So we love you, we see you, we bow down to your charisma, uniqueness, nerve, and talent. And we are so lucky to love you and to fight with you and for you, to learn from you, and to ensure that our rights are inseparable from yours. Trans lives don't just matter, they transform the world into a place of possibility, joy, and discovery. So I am so grateful to be here supporting the incredible people who have just thrown this together. Christopher Project, you all are amazing. You should start putting on the Oscars. And Future, Families United for Trans Rights. And I'm grateful to fight alongside you for liberation. Trans liberation is our liberation, and without it, none of us are free. Thank you all so much.
Hello, happy Trans Day of Visibility, y'all. Yes. My name is Rodrigo Heng-Leonin. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm the executive director of Advocates for Trans Equality. Yes, thank you. We are at an inflection point in trans history right now. We are being targeted, vilified, and outright attacked by those in power. But the little ray of hope is that trans people have always learned how to survive under the harshest conditions. The attacks against us right now are the backlash to the progress that we have made over the last 20 years. It is a testament to our strength that those who oppose freedom are so terrified of the progress that we bring. And despite all of their weapons, we are still here. Trans people have always been here and will always be here. No matter how hard the government tries to erase us, they simply do not have that power. They never have and they never will. My call to action to you is to get involved. Don't fall into the trap of either doom scrolling the news or tuning out altogether. Both of those routes are passive, and both of those routes leave you disempowered. Instead, put yourself in the driver's seat. Register to vote. Vote in all those local elections that everyone else ignores. Run for office yourself. If you want a different style of activism, volunteer at your local LGBT community center. Mentor a trans kid. Start a trans book club. Protest outside a courthouse. Start a zine with resources that might otherwise get censored. Learn your rights and train 5 other families to learn what you learned too. Don't just watch things happen, make things happen. Yes. History is made by those of us who take the initiative to show up. So thank you, all of you, for making history with us today. Take care.
Hello, everyone. My name is KT Sylvia. My pronouns are they, them, she, her, and I'm here representing Planned Parenthood of Metropolitan Washington, D.C. As a follow-up nurse manager, I speak every day with trans and non-binary patients who have chosen to trust us with their care. We know that such trust isn't given freely. We know that it must be earned. It is a privilege to witness the joy and relief that radiates from individuals as they begin or continue their journey towards becoming their authentic selves. I am queer. I am a nurse, and I feel a calling to connect directly with my community. I strive to ensure that my patients still feel cared for, even after their appointment ends. I approach my work with the core belief that if I can help make a patient's care experience better, I will make every effort to do so. Often, this begins by simply listening. And recently, when I listen to our trans and non-binary patients, I hear all too often that they are afraid that their access to gender-affirming care could be restricted or criminalized. They are scared for their safety and self-determination and are fearful for their right to make private medical decisions about their own bodies and health. I've had the training to answer a variety of medication questions, but nothing prepared me for the moment a patient asked me, do I need to stockpile my medication? Do I need to leave the country? Because how do you answer that? How do you reassure someone when their ability to exist is under attack? I can help patients manage medication side effects, fight insurance companies for coverage, and navigate their care, but I was never trained to protect them from their attacks on their dignity, their autonomy, and their right to be who they are. So when I tell you that gender-affirming care must always be accessible, I do so on behalf of the many frightened patients whose lives hang in the balance while politicians recklessly encroach upon the realm of medicine, an arena in which they have no business and in which their interference directly threatens essential life-saving care. So today, we at Planned Parenthood of Metropolitan Washington, D.C. call on you to join us in demanding the protection of access to gender-affirming care, because trans visibility isn't just about celebrating trans people. It's about making sure that every trans and non-binary person has the chance to lead a long, happy, fulfilling, and healthy life. Thank you. I'd now like to welcome to the stage National LGBTQ+ legislative researcher and transgender rights activist Allison Chapman.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for that wonderful welcome, KT. Thank you for everything that you do and everything Planned Parenthood does for our community and so many others. What an incredible day it is to be here with you all. My name is Allison Chapman. My pronouns are she, her. And no matter what piece of paper or flimsy order is signed just a few blocks away from here, they cannot take away who I am, who I always have been, who I will always will be, and that is a transgender woman. What is happening right now is not normal, but we cannot forget the founding of our country was not normal either. It was founded on stolen land with the blood of enslaved people. Our nation's history is tainted by our dark and not so distant past. So while it's important to call the way in which the government is being taken over as not normal, we also must remember that this is not new. This is not new for people of color. This is not new for women. This is not new for gay people. And this is not new for trans people. Even to this day, this is not new for us. LGBTQ plus people around the world are forced into the shadows while their existences are criminalized. For example, look at Hungary and Russia, where a rally like this would be criminal. When we feel down and our fate is bleak, we must remind ourselves that we are not alone. We are simply joining those from the past and those in the present, fighting against tyranny. What wannabe dictators don't want you to know is that they can only take what we, the people, let them to take. And today we are making it clear here in Washington, D.C., that we are not going to let them take a single inch from us. What we are witnessing is nothing less than an attempted coup by the richest man in the world and general overall dick, Elon Musk. I'm sure Mr. Martin from the Department of Justice will be sending me a letter shortly for my strong words here. However, Elon Musk and Donald Trump want to push us back into the shadows of society. But what they do not understand is that this is where our community learned to thrive. From the seedy underbelly of society to standing on a stage in Washington, D.C., we have succeeded in this fight before, and we will be victorious again. Trans liberation was never going to be won by capitalistic companies changing their logos to rainbow colors for the month of June. It's going to be won how it always has been won, by trans people and drag queens throwing bricks in the streets. Remember to be kind to yourselves, to take care of each other, and I love each and every one of you. Thank you so much.
How y'all doing? Are we gonna get a little rain, let it get in our way? Hell no. Happy Trans Day of Visibility, folks. I am so damn happy to be here. I am so damn proud to be a trans woman. I am so grateful for the Christopher Street Project for putting on one of the best run events I've seen in a while, in the middle of a storm, both literal and metaphorical, by the way. I am proud to be an American. I am proud to be a military veteran. Very proud. I have so many dear friends who are serving openly right now, who are trans in the military. And every day, they get up early in the morning, they put on their uniform, and they go do what needs to be done. They serve their oath to our Constitution, which is a hell of a lot more than a lot of these people in that building behind us are doing. My name is Charlotte Clymer. My pronouns are she, her. And I want to tell you a quick story real quick. I have a dear friend who is a military officer, a senior military officer in our Navy. And I don't know how much y'all know about military culture, but these days, commanders, they'll use social media to put a spotlight on the service members under their command. It's their way of bringing to attention the great things that the service members under them are doing for our country. And a couple weeks ago, my friend who's a trans man and serving as a commander, he posted a photo of a re-enlistment ceremony that one of the service members in his command had undergone. And he wrote movingly about this service member. He wrote of his pride for this service member, how this young person was committing more years of their lives to our military in order to serve their country. And I'm reading this, and I was deeply moved because my friend did not make it about him. He made it about the service member serving under him. Even though my friend is going through so much anxiety and stress, having to get up every day knowing that that fucking coward in the White House, who's the commander-in-chief, who didn't serve a goddamn day in uniform, has the audacity to degrade the service of 5,000 trans people in the military who are serving right now. And we reject that. We reject that completely. I'll tell you what, y'all. They want us to go away. They want us to give up. They want us to be silent. They want us to be ashamed. They have no idea who the hell we are. They don't. I thank God that I am trans. I thank God that I have the blessing to be born a trans person. I exist today in my authenticity because of the visibility of trans and non-binary people whose selflessness and courage paved roads that have permitted me to navigate the world with an expansive liberation and broader society that they never got to experience. I am here because of much better people who came before me. And I can't help but feel sympathy for the tens of millions of non-trans people in our country who are constantly burdened and tortured with struggling to meet the gendered expectations demanded of them by so much of society. I think many non-trans people struggle with our culture successfully and cruelly controlling them, forcing them to be who they're not, shaming them for who they really are, all in service to a painful and unnecessary gendered framework that insists on unforgiving rigidity solely meant to avoid discomfort based on irrational fear. Fuck that shit. I think non-trans people who hate those of us who are trans are really motivated by a taught fear of themselves. It has to be terrifying to suppress oneself only to witness people who have rejected that painful suppression. Trans people are a constant reminder that there is an entire world outside of what most non-trans people have been aggressively and irrationally conditioned to accept. So yes, today is about trans visibility. It is about trans joy, to be sure. But I would also like to believe it can mean so much more to us. It can mean that non-trans people feel greater comfort and acceptance in embracing their own authenticity, however that may look, by the example that trans and non-binary people set. I want every trans and non-binary child in this country to be safe and loved and empowered, and I also want that for every non-trans child. I want every trans and non-binary adult to be safe and loved and empowered, and I also want that for every non-trans adult. I think that's an essential North Star worthy of any compass. That's why I'm visible, and that's what I wish for all of us too. Thank you all so much. God bless you.
What's up, everybody? Oh, come on, y'all can do better than that. We stood through the rain. Thank y'all for staying through the rain. I'm Dr. Elijah Nicholas, and I proudly say that my pronouns are he, him, and L, and I am happy to be here. And I just want to share, where's my new friend, Olivia? Olivia, if you're here, wave. I just met an amazing human being named Olivia. And Olivia asked me, what was the most important thing that I've felt or experienced about being trans? And I want to speak to all of my trans and non-binary siblings. And I told Olivia, we have a gift that most human beings do not. We live in a duality, in a space, in a spiritual space that average human beings who do not tap in live in. And I just want you to embrace that, love on yourself, and know that you are beautiful. Say this with me. I'm trans, and I'm beautiful. I can't hear y'all. Marissa, help me out. I'm trans, and I'm beautiful. I'm trans, and I'm beautiful. Thank you. And I want to say, as a black, transgender, veteran, American who served my country for 24 years, 10 months, and 8 days, I have experienced things that many could not imagine. However, in experiencing all of these things, I have found I am worthy, I am healthy, and I know that I deserve the same freedoms and rights that every person walking the earth in the United States does. And you see, this is not, thank you, this is not just about me. It's not just about being black. It's not just about being trans. This is about every human being. It is about every veteran who has sacrificed their life for this country and their health care, not just gender-affirming care, and gender-affirming care. Their medical care is being threatened. Our benefits are being threatened. This is about my 78-year-old mother who's concerned that her Social Security is not going to be there when she needs it. So this is about all of us in America who are concerned for the democracy of this nation. And I came here to give a message to the religious leaders. The religious leaders, even those who say they are inclusive and affirming. To the politicians who vote for anti-trans bills. To those who assume our vote. To the celebrities who are silent right now. We send you a message and we tell you, we see you, we hear you, and we will hold you accountable. Because when the tide turns, because as my mother says, the tide will always turn. We will remember you. We will remember who stood with us. We will remember who walked with us. And we will remember who voted for and against us. And we will hold you accountable to that. And lastly, to all of our friends and allies who are here today, we see you, we love you, and we appreciate you. And we will continue to mobilize and galvanize and vote for and with you. And we invite you this June to the National Trans Visibility March. We give you an invitation to the table. We ask you to stand with us, to walk with us, to march with us, and to save democracy with us. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me? Yeah, happy Trans Day of Visibility. Hey, thank you for being out here. There's some storm clouds out there, but we're all showing up. Are we all here? Are we excited? Are we working against those fascists in the building behind me? I'm Ezra Levin, he, him. I'm the co-founder of Indivisible. I want to tell you a little story. A lot of people think Indivisible started because Donald Trump got elected 8 years ago. No, that was part of it. That was part of it. But it wasn't just Donald Trump's election. It wasn't just an interview with a future Trump appointee in which he talked about the Japanese internment camps during World War II as a model of what we might do with immigrants and Muslims and refugees. That was part of it. Yeah. No, it was an interview with incoming Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer in which he said, well, we lost the election. I guess we're just going to have to work with Trump on something. Is Chuck Schumer in the crowd here? Is he showing up? No, I don't see him. That is really weird, isn't it? That is really weird. Now let me say something about Indivisible. We started as a movement because we saw the divide and conquer attacks from the fascists in this building were meant to build political power and concentrate it in their hands and wage war on all Americans. That's what they're trying to do. And our theory in response to that attack on all Americans was to treat an attack on one like an attack on all. That's what we're doing. When I look around this country, I see people in blue states and red states and purple states. I see them in rural areas, in suburban areas, in urban areas. I see them all across the country standing up to say, we're going to fight back. When trans rights are under attack, what do? Stand up, fight back. What do? What do we do? You know, I agree with that. I think that's a good point. But not everybody agrees with this. And can I say something a little spicy? Is that okay? Is that okay? There is a popular view among some folks on our side, folks who voted the right way last November, and they say, look, we lost the election. You know what we got to do? We got to throw trans folks under the bus. That's what we got to. We got to be smart. We got to use our heads. We can't just show up for trans folks who are under attack. When I say that, you say bullshit. That's bullshit. You said it well. I think that is bullshit. I think that is bullshit. There is no pathway to fighting back against these authoritarians that doesn't require us to link arms with everybody who is under attack and treat an attack on one like an attack on all. Are we going to do it? Are we going to do it? Are we going to do it? You bet your ass we're going to do it. We have this Saturday a protest, not just in D.C., but in 1,000 communities all over the country. April 5th, hands off. Who's here showing up for hands off? Let me see your hands up. Who's showing up for hands up? Hands off. Hands off. When trans rights are under attack, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? I'll see you Saturday.
Okay, everyone, it's that time. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you to our speakers and our co-hosts and every single one of you who showed up for yourselves, for the trans community, and for our right to exist and be free. We know that this fight is rooted in a deep, rich history, and we know that we are adding to that legacy today. It's time for Donald Trump and his cronies and all of America to recognize that we are here and we are not going anywhere. We deserve to live in a place that protects all of us, respects all of us, and represents all of us. And we will never, ever give in. Thank you all so much. We really appreciate you.